Hello, everybody, and good evening. It is the first, I think it's still the 1st of August, which is a record for me because we are going to give you the competition results from July, which was only a day ago instead of the usual week and a half ago. And it's an especially enjoyable event this evening because I am joined by last month's guest judge and this month's guest judge, Mr. Harold Hall, who is an amateur photographer of great repute. He's entered the competition himself and he's won it. So what else could you want? Harold volunteered to help me with the competition last month. I had already asked him to help me with the competition this month, and I'm glad I did. We've been through the photographs and we've selected the winners. And Harold, what did you think of this particular batch of photographs?
There were far fewer than I'm accustomed to seeing. You said there was some situation where you didn't announce it right at the beginning of the month.
Yeah, I did a terrible job of it because it was right in the middle of my move, which was also why I never got a video done last month, and it was just a written results thing. But it was probably 14 days into the month, or 10 days anyway, before I even announced the topic. So I was afraid we weren't going to get any. But how many did we ended up with? I believe 14 that we selected.
I was very happy to respond when you asked me. It's all well and good for people to donate money as a Patreon member, but time is worth more than money. And if any of us can donate time, I think that we're all better off for it.
I strongly disagree with Harold's statement there. And I think the money's pretty nice, actually.
In addition to the money, it's good to donate time.
That I absolutely will go along with. I am the luckiest person on YouTube to have so many people who do so much to help, whether it's answering messages over on the Walls app, helping with the judging of the competition, so many ways, so many things, and I'm so grateful to you. That's why we do this. Well, the theme was I got it at a grocery store, and you could interpret that several different ways, I imagine. We tend to go with the spirit of the thing. When I announce a theme, like I finally did this month, what I'm talking about is stuff that you could get at the average grocery store. Now, there was some stuff that was in the competition that may or may not have made it into the finalists that I don't think you could get it at my grocery store. And Harold didn't think you could get it at his either. If that was the case, it might not have made it through. But what we're going to do is the same as we usually do. And that is Harold and I are going to go through all of the photographs that either made it to the top 10, in this case 9, and I'll explain that later, or were an honorable mention. An honorable mention being a photograph that we liked that maybe had something missing or something extra that took away from it and ended up not wanting to give it a place, but wanting to mention it. That's the idea. As always, if I don't mention your photograph, it is not because there was a problem with your photograph so much as there was 14 better photographs that we do mention. And I encourage you to keep sending them in, to keep entering these competitions. This was small showing by our usual standards, probably about 2/3 to a half what we normally get. But there are some awfully nice pictures in here and pictures we can learn a lot from. So without any further ado, I think we'll get started, Harold, and we'll just run through them. What I generally do is I don't go by any particular order with the honorable mentions. I just bring them up in the order that I'm looking at them. And then when we get to the numbered entries, which are 9 through 1 tonight, and no ties this time around, this guy and I agreed on almost everything. And a couple of things we didn't, you'll know when you hear us talk about them that we didn't. But let's start off, if we can, with honorable mention number blank is from Roy Walker. It's this picture, Juicy Blackberry. This was an interesting one. Harold, what do you think?
It's a little bit on the documentary side. When you zoom in, you do see an awful lot of detail in the stems. Something that we wondered about was the gradient background and the blue background, where it's white in the upper right. And it doesn't really add to it. It's not a displeasing blue, but the background didn't add a lot to the photo, I would say.
It struck me as a little bit jarring.
I'm not able to really say specifically. They don't really seem to be connected. They don't add to it. They're somewhat disconnected, and there's no stem, and so you don't know what this is resting on. It's kind of up in the air.
That didn't bother me. I like that hovering in midair look with a lot of things. It is a bit mysterious and a bit odd, but I think the background accentuates it and makes it a little bit too obvious. It's not a bad picture. I was a bit put off by the reflections of the windows. I wonder if a little bit more diffusion may have made the picture more appealing. It was close. It was close to getting in. Good job anyway from Roy Walker. Honorable mention number blank. Honorable mention number blank plus one, which is also number two. I might as well just go with it. Was from Francesc Dalmau. This is a kiwi, and it's one of my favorite ways to look at a piece of fruit or a vegetable, something full with a cellular structure and a colorful interior. This idea of a quarter view of something, like you're looking at a cross section of a planet as you're flying by, that type of thing. I love it. But there were problems with this picture, problems that I couldn't unsee once I saw them. It's funny. The first thing I saw was the dirt on the fruit. That was not the thing that irked you, was it though, Harold?
No, but I do agree. A positive about this is the composition. That I was trying to say a few good things about the photo and the quarter composition, giving you enough hint of what it is, seeing the kiwi seeds and seeing the fuzz around the side. I think is a good composition, but some of that fuzz is quite blurry, and so that bothered me more than seeing the what you're saying is the dirt on the kiwi. I'm embarrassed to say I think my mom used to eat the skin and all of the kiwi. That fuzz is out of focus, and they could have maybe sliced the kiwi thinner and had less of that fuzz, or just more focus stacks, more photos in the stack.
I'm not sure. Depends, I guess, on the size of the kiwi, but this might have been a single shot even, in which case I would question the choice of technique, because I think that this would have looked better fully in focus. I agree. But it's hard for me to get over the foreign material on the surface. It seems from my perspective that a quick rinse would have taken care of that. But I'm pretty picky about that, and I see that kind of thing all over. You could always clean it up in post too.
You're referring to these white spots around?
Yeah, the
that
dusty
would be very
looking.
easy, very easy to clean up in post.
Yeah, it's just a bit distracting to me, and anything that distracts me from you can see the structure of the tissue, you can see the interesting shapes in the pulp of the kiwi, but my eyes are drawn to the bright white dots all the time. So that was why I agreed with Harold. This is beautifully composed, great idea for composition, but a couple of things holding it back. Honorable mention number 3 was from the great Larry Strunk, and this was and is a juicy plum tomato, or grape tomato. I really wanted to like this because I like transilluminated fruit photographs, but there were some issues with this. I think I might have let some of them slide a little bit, but when When Harold pointed out to me some of the problems with the softness, I have to agree. How did you see this picture, Harold?
I'm not seeing the softness in a technical problem that Larry didn't focus properly. I think he likely did a very fine job on that. We zoomed in and we could see some areas were definitely in very nice clear focus. But the material within the tomato, uh,
Tomato.
oh, okay. Uh, the material in front of it causes blur because you're not seeing the object itself, the seeds. And then we also thought it's called tension when the edge of the frame is so close to the subject. It's symmetrical, and all four sides have quite a bit of tension because there's so little space.
Yeah, I it bothers me too. Crowding of anything in a frame bothers me. It needs a little bit of room to breathe, but I did love the color, and I thought the light was done well. The other comment that I made when we were looking at it was, I wondered if maybe it looks like Larry probably has bounced a little light back into the front of this tomato, but putting a bounce card between the camera and the subject when you're transilluminating it from the back will sometimes lift up those dark areas just a bit. They do look just a tad too dark, but close,
So
don't you think?
when we're talking about the tightness of it and lack of room to breathe, had he stepped back and made the subject smaller, given it more space, I'm not sure that would have helped it. I think maybe it needed to zoom in closer and maybe get rid of the black area around it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying zooming back would not necessarily have corrected the issues.
No, not all of them, certainly. Certainly. This transillumination thing or backlighting with translucent subjects is really challenging, and it's one of the things that Charlie Krebs and I talk about in this week's interview. He's really mastered that particular skill set. But good effort, Larry. Honorable mention number 4. I think it's a glass of beer, and there are problems with this beer.
Well, we don't know if there's problems with the beer, but here is an example. I think if there's many good aspects to this photo, and had they zoomed in a little bit more, for example, on the right-hand side is more in focus than the left. The amount of blurriness on the bottom doesn't add to it. So if they could have zoomed in and maybe it would have been a third of the size. You'd have zoomed in and you'd have seen some very, very pretty bubbles, some abstract bubbles, bubbles in focus, contrasted against the yellow. But as it is, there's a lot of blurriness on the bottom and on the left-hand side of the bubbles.
Exactly the impression I got. This is a cropping miscue, in my opinion. I agree. The parts that look good, the golden, almost metallic bubbles on the undersurface on the right are exquisite. They've got this an almost metallic look to them. They as the subject with the clear crystalline bubbles above them, I think would have been a lovely abstract shot. They would have looked like pearls and jewels, but it gets a bit mucky at the bottom there. Pretty close. Honorable mention number 4 from Wilf Meyer, Ale for the King. To the King. Or for the King. All right. Honorable mention number 5, the second of several Kiwis of the evening. And I'm not talking about New Zealanders. I'm talking about the fruit. This is kiwi fruit under constant LED light. It was catchily called by Allan. I thought this was kind of a missed opportunity.
Yes, it's again somewhat documentary that when you're submitting a photo in a contest, you don't have an awful lot of time to give that judge a wow factor, something they have not seen before, something that really interests them. I think Allan is hungry at the moment, he said, so maybe he's more interested in this. But you don't have a lot of time to grab their attention into something unusual that they haven't seen before. And
Exactly.
we're all about macro. So you take a macro photo, and if you can zoom in a little bit more in cropping, I don't think that's a bad thing.
The thing is, when you do zoom in, when you look closely at this picture, it's well done. The subject's well prepared, the details all there. There's very little off-putting specularity. It's just a missed opportunity to blow us away with something cool like backlighting this, or doing a very thin section of it. It's close. It's
We
close.
also thought that maybe it could have been diffused light a little bit better. I
Yeah,
believe.
I did say that, and I do think that this is close. There were a few pictures we looked at in the competition that didn't make it this far, where lighting was a real problem, either not enough or too much, and that will kill your entry quicker than anything else. But I thought this was getting awfully close. This just lacked the hook that the pictures you're getting ready to see had. So let us move to position number 9, or 9th place, as it's known in parts of the world. 9th place was another picture from Francesc Dalmau. This is salt and pepper, an almost cliche subject in macro photography competitions. Normally not one that gets through to the finals. Why did we like this one?
There's good details in the shadow. I think we even like the base that it was on.
Yep.
Background is blurred out, so the both subjects stand out away from the background. While it's cliche to you, I've not seen that many of these. There's some distracting things. The big white area on the salt. Your eye is going to go to an area of greater light, and that just takes your attention there, but it doesn't really belong there. So I would have toned that down in one of several ways in Photoshop. But there's a very good detail in the peppercorn, and we liked it.
I think I also made comment that the choice of the salt was really quite clever. This salt is a natural salt that's got lots of inclusions in it, and it actually looks tasty for salt. And the peppercorn, yeah, it looks oily. This is a very alive and vibrant picture. I think as a still life, even though I've seen a lot of these things, this one did stand out as better than the average salt and pepper. Position number 9. Great job, Francesc. Let's see. Philip Mortensen. Here was a little bit of controversy. Planet Corn Chip, position 8, 8th place. Now, how did a picture of a weevil get in here, Harold?
We think maybe he's watched this before and understands that you like weevils.
You think I was being manipulated here?
Well, I don't know if you were, but there might have been an attempt at it.
It appears to have worked, though, to a point.
We also like the bokeh in the background.
Certainly do. You know what that is, by the way? I discovered after we talked. That is little pinholes punched in the background and lit from behind. So that is not an effect on the lens. That's the little gobbets of light that are passing through pinholes. I thought that was quite clever.
That makes me like the picture even more, to know that they went to that extent or know to do something like that.
Well, what bothers me is that there is a grocery store in this person's hometown that has weevils, nice weevils from the continent of Africa, crawling around on the corn chips. Did we agree to just assume that the corn chip was the thing that came from the grocery store?
Well, we did agree that the main subject here seems to be the weevil and not the food item from the grocery store. But We thought it was well done enough that we like the bokeh. The weevil is in good focus. To me, it looked fairly natural, but to someone as astute as or knowledgeable as Allan, you pointed some things out. But to me, the weevil is well positioned.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, he's definitely well positioned. I mean, it's a very believable portrait. The argument, of course, is this a picture of a weevil or is this a picture of a corn chip? And I think only the most corn chip obsessed person would think that this was a picture of a corn chip. I was willing to let it slide because I like this picture. I think it is well done. It is clever, and it's got a weevil in it. Now, don't go putting weevils in everything now. It won't work all the time. But yeah, good job. I'm happy to see that that got 8th place. Planet Corn Chip from Philip Mortensen. And in position number 7, this one is from Hans Peter Steiner. It is The Psychedelic Killing of a Gummy Bear. And I don't even know what to say about this, so I'll shut up while the maestro gives it a shot.
I like the fact that because we have talked about birefringence, you have extensively, some of us have even bought microscopes to get involved in it, and they incorporated that in here with a food item. I'm not sure that it's so important that it's a gummy bear. There could be a lot of different things on the end of this fork that might have been better. But everything that we see in the picture was done well. The fork and the gummy bear are certainly in focus. The fact that it's at a diagonal is fine. Just the fact that it's a gummy bear didn't excite me all that much, but I'm not sure. Maybe they needed to stick a kiwi on the end of it.
Gosh.
But I think it's done well, and the birefringence part appealed to me.
Yeah, it does me too. We don't talk about it directly often enough, but this is a technically very good photograph. This is pin sharp where it needs to be sharp. The birefringence is beautifully balanced. He's picked an item that looks good with symmetrical birefringence. The gummy bear's neither here nor there to me, but even the background looks good. The purples and the yellows balance those blues beautifully. It's just interesting. It held my attention for quite a while, and I love this birefringent stuff. It's great fun. Now, you're probably wondering why a picture that's as striking as this and technically this good didn't make it into the top 5. Well, it's because people took some better pictures. We'll show you here in just a second. Let's get to number 6. Here is one of my favorite photographers. Amy does such clever and thoughtful work. She's won this competition before. And this is a beautiful photograph of a seed pod of star anise. The seed pod is beautifully photographed. The detail is incredible. I love the idea of putting it on pine nuts. Whose idea was that? Clever idea. What was the one thing about it that put you off, Harold?
The blurry seeds on the right-hand side. That I don't think I'd have minded if it was more blurry all the way across, but it's just there's one blurry part of the picture. And I don't think if everything was in focus, we would ever say, I think that'd be better if it was blurry on the right. And
Yeah.
so I think we just somehow accepted that it was blurry on the right and not the left.
Yeah, in looking at it, it looks like the pile of they look like pine nuts that it's resting on appears to run away from the camera to the right far edge, and the part that would be out of focus is actually behind that ridge. I think I can see it that way, so it didn't bother me as much when I saw it. But after you pointed it out, it becomes a little bit too striking. And I think this is a time either to get consistency with the out of focus areas or stack a bit deeper. But these seed pods are not big. So I'm sure that Amy stacked this. I did like the use of the radial gradient in the background. I think it worked. All in all, a nice picture, and certainly worthy of 6th place. Licorice, by the way, is what is flavored with the crushed up seeds and pods from the anise plant, in case you were wondering about the title. There you go. Now you know. Number 5, Jeremy Streeter turned in a bowl of blueberries that I rather loved. What was the thing that kept this from 3rd place or 2nd place?
Rather than starting out with what kept it from, what is appealing about it is the color harmony, I think they call it. It's very nice color tones throughout. We studied it and we decided they're fairly old blueberries. There's good focus on some of these other little growth areas of the blueberry, but the color harmony is what appealed to me most about it. On some of these photos, we say they should have zoomed in more or zoomed out. I don't have anything to say about that here. I think it's most of the blueberries are cut up. You don't see the whole one, but you do see the one that's the center of attention. I think it's well composed. And the best part about it, I think, was the color harmony. And some of the aberrations and imperfections in the blueberry also were nice to look at.
Agreed. I love the patch of red underneath that looks like the pulp showing through the skin. I think that's a nice touch. What did you think of the water drops? Did you think they added, detracted, or just blended well with the image?
I would say that they add. I think that when you buy this at the grocery store, they should be wetting them periodically, and I think that's a good thing to have. And if they don't, you can always use a little spritzer and wet it yourself.
I liked it too. And your point about the imperfections is well taken. I mean, it's what gives interest to pictures like this. I think sometimes we spend too much time looking for the perfect examples of what we're photographing and miss some of the natural feel of it. Well, the next picture, this is Allan Lyle's kiwi fruit under UV light, was one that really excited me, and one of two that I would say that Harold and I had a slightly different take on, but I love this picture, and I'll tell you what I love about it, and then get Harold's opinion. But this looks like a fairly pure UV IVF. The fact that the light in this image is coming from the kiwi fruit. The kiwi contains fluorophores, and it's the electrons in the fluorophores that are elevated to a higher energy state by the UV radiation. When it drops back down to the lower energy state, the fluorophore gives off photons, and it's those photons that we're seeing as visible light. So we're not looking at something that has been lit with a torch and is a beautiful color of blue. We're looking at the actual color that's being radiated out of that kiwi into probably a very slow shutter speed to soak up all of that light. But the more I looked at this picture, the more I loved it, because it's exciting, it's interesting, it's surprising, and it's technically beautifully done. I'll zoom in a little bit and let you see a few of the things that really took my breath away. Apart from the fact that you've got stunning detail in the actual substance of the kiwi fruit, but you've also got this very faint reddish orange fluorescence coming from deep within there that I have never seen or heard of before. The seed stems are just glowing with energy, as is the central core of the fruit. I just found this mesmerizing and hard to take my eyes away from. There was really nothing about this that I didn't like, so much so that I plan to go get me some kiwi fruit this weekend and see what I can do with it. This was a cracking good photograph and well deserving of being in the top four. Where did you fall with this one the first time around, Harold?
Well, I did not understand the technical aspect of it. And I believe that you are now letting people know that this type of IV or the UV photography might even be a step above including a weevil in the photos. Maybe
I,
you'll see more of these. But
I
once you
hope
started
so.
to explain what's going on, and I'm looking at it now, I've been down into, I think is in New Zealand, where you can go through tunnels and they have worms that glow on the cave walls. And that's kind of what this looks like, a cave with the little worms on the wall.
It
Uh,
sure does. That never occurred to me.
So this is another photo that I think would be better if it was zoomed in closer and got rid of the round part of the kiwi and you zoomed in. But then Allan saw those unique red parts that he liked. So I think Allan was more infatuated. I don't know if infatuated is the right
That's a good word
word,
for it.
but you were very, very pleased with the technical and the learning aspect of this because you didn't know that a Kiwi did this.
No, it did not.
So
And I
this is
still
that
don't.
example of where you need to surprise the judge. And if you can teach the judge something, I think you're in. It's a hard thing to do.
Absolutely. And Harold knows what he's talking about. He has judged a lot of photography competitions. That he is no spring chicken when it comes to this stuff. Talking about that reddish area, there is something about it that makes me think of magma under the surface of a volcanic area. The way that red is growing, is glowing a little angrily or malevolently just under the surface of that, and it makes the whole piece of fruit look like it has intention almost. If you told me that this was a sea anemone or a rare coral or something, I'd have believed you. It's just it's a super photograph. Very interesting. I'll go back and look at this again several times. Let's move on to the medalists for the evening. We'll start with third place, the bronze medal. What do you think of this one from Julie Botts, A Green Onion?
I have no idea what part of the onion this is. I think you might have mentioned or told me later, but it's not important for the viewer to know exactly what it is. It needs to be pleasing. We zoomed in and it's exceedingly sharp on the side of the left-hand side. Has some very interesting work on it. There was no out of focus areas and it's abstract to me and I have no idea what part of the onion it's from, but that's okay. It's a very pleasing, well composed photo. If it was 100% green, I don't think it'd be as good. The edge wouldn't have stood out like it does. I think they're showing you enough of the subject, and I think the composition is good as well.
I do too. I really love this picture. Whenever you can see the cell structure in a plant as clearly as this, I think this is probably that spongy, slimy part of the green part of the spring onion, the inside of it. I think that's what it looks like. I photographed it a long time ago, but this is beautifully lit, very even, very subdued, but enough to show all the detail. Loved it. Great picture, great third place. Well done, Julie. And something that does not happen very often in competition land is this, and that is the silver medal going to the same person, Julie Botts, with blue backlit grape. This was one that you jumped on, Harold.
Yes.
What is it about this that grabbed your attention?
On the color wheel, the yellow and the blues, I believe, are opposing, and that's good to have in a photo. Again, I don't really know what it is, but that's okay. I like the yellow, how bright it was, and you'd zoom in and you'd see other blue parts with his striations. To me, the whole thing was appealing. For a while, I was wondering about that in the 8 or 9 o'clock position. That one strand
Hmm.
stands out a little bit, but I just think I would describe this also as having good color harmony. It is to me, it's very well done. I liked it a lot on first pass through.
Yeah, when I looked at it, this was interesting. On first pass through, I wasn't crazy about it, and the more I listened to Harold describe what he liked about it, the more I could see that. And I really love the strangeness of these yellow bodies that appear to be trailing something behind them. They look like I believe that they're the parts of the grape that attach to the seeds, but I'm not really sure myself. This is not a familiar view of a grape, but it looks, you know what it looked like to me was an oil painting by somebody who was trying to copy that Starry Night thing by what's his name? The guy who
Van
chopped
Gogh.
his ear off.
I was going to mention that those little streaks in there to me look like the Starry Night swirls in the Van Gogh painting.
Exactly. And that's really appealing to me when somebody can take their camera and just with light and imagination, they can make me think of a work of fine art. And that's what this does. This is a kind of abstract. I guess it's not abstract if you know your grapes. I'm not a big fancier of the grape, but this really, really grew on me, and it's definitely well worthy of second place. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and Julie, that's a heck of a turnout. 2 and 3. That's isn't that better than we're doing in the Olympics right now? Is getting 2s and 3s, and we may have had a few of them actually. I don't follow the Olympics; it's too exhausting. So
If
let's
someone
see.
is so good to take second and third place, are they also limited to only one photo now?
No, no,
No, she can go ahead. Okay.
you have to win this competition. You have to be in the same category as you, Harold, to
Okay.
be limited to only one picture. And that leaves us with just one. And this was, controversy is the wrong word, but this was not one that we both immediately agreed on, but it is one of my favorite photographs from the competition so far this year. The more I've thought about it, the more I like it. And it's from the guy that started this all out this evening, Roy Walker. The Humble Rice Krispie is the winner for July 2024. And seeing as I was the one that went out on a limb here to support this picture winning, I'm going to tell you why I liked it, and then we'll hear from Allan, from Harold. First of all, it looks like an upside down fish, which is completely beside the point, but it's one of those things that jumped out at me. I love Rice Krispies. Everybody does. We've all eaten them. Everybody in the world knows what a Rice Krispie is. I had no idea this was what a Rice Krispie looked like when it was photographed with perfect light, perfect background, immaculate technique, an absolutely motionless Rice Krispie shot perfectly. And the closer in I zoomed, the more I learned about Rice Krispies, about their hollowness and their flakiness, and the what the germ of the rice seed looks like. I just can't get enough of this picture. I think it has done exactly what a winning photograph should do in a competition, and it has blown me away by surprising me at every turn, delighting me at every turn, and showing me something that is so common and so everyday that you just never think about it, and it has made me completely reassess the Rice Krispie. This is a winning photograph, if ever there was one. This wins as clearly as Harold's totem pole did. It's that kind of picture. So I would love to hear what you think about this one.
It did not jump off the page at me initially when I was scrolling through them. Some of the aspects that Allan told me about or pointed out in the large hole. I don't know if that's the eye or the gill of your fish, but you can see
Gil,
through the Rice Krispie. You can see inside it. It's certainly well lit. It comes from a grocery store. It's certainly a food item. And this person is ticking the box of amaze the judge and teach the judge something. And you're in like Flint. Color is nice. There are no blown out spots. I think the light is well diffused. Technically, it's a good photo of an item that comes from the grocery store.
I made the comment to Harold when we were talking about this earlier today that if Roy could take a picture of a cornflake and a Wheatie and set them up as a triptych with that black background, I would buy it. I would buy it to put in my kitchen. I think it's that good. Congratulations to everybody. This was a nice short competition video. I have a feeling it's going to be the last nice short competition video for a while. We've got good ones coming up and some ones that are going to get a lot of talking done, like this one this month, which is My Tiny Universe. I'll tell you more about it as the month goes on, but it's going to be a real challenge. It's going to be an opportunity to use your creative chops and come up with the best way you can express your tiny universe without compositing. No compositing in this one.
Do you want to clarify what you mean by compositing? That we had a discussion on that today?
This comes up from time to time. By compositing in the macro competition, I do not include focus stacking with that. Focus stacking is compositing by any definition, but we exclude that from that prohibition. By compositing, I mean if you take a picture of something and you Photoshop it into your other image, something that wasn't in the original image, in order to make your point. It's a wonderful skill to have. It's enormously entertaining to look at, but it kind of misses the point of this competition, which is using props from nature or props from the hobby shop or props from your kid's bedroom to create a look into your world. It could be a landscape in a teacup. It could be a little toy child swinging on a dandelion. It could be anything that crosses your mind. You can use any props you like, but you cannot artificially Photoshop elements into the picture that aren't there. That's what I mean by that. You can focus stack to your heart's content. If you've won the competition before, you may only submit one photograph, like Harold is going to have to do this month, so it has to be a good one. If you have never won the competition, but if you've won the Nikon Small Worlds 15 times, you can submit 2 pictures. That's just the way life is sometimes. It's only in my competition that gets you in trouble. And never is it okay to submit 5 pictures. Somebody does it almost every month. Not this month, but never is that okay. I'll keep saying that as long as I'm doing this, and somebody will, from time to time, submit 5. And I find it endlessly hysterical because almost always one of those 5 would have won the competition. It just goes without saying. Harold, thank you. Thank you for last month. Thank you for this month. As an expert judge, you really helped me so much these last couple of months, and you've taught me a lot about judging. So thank you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
We will do it again. You are on the list, so you'll never be able to get out of it now. Congratulations to our 3 winners, Julie Botts, and Roy Walker. Thank you to everybody who entered. If you didn't see your picture here, keep entering. You will eventually see it here, I promise. You're all getting better. So thank you for watching this, and we'll see you in the next thing that we do. And until then, take care, stay safe, and be well. Good day. See you, Harold. Thank you.
Thank you.